You are about to witness the very exciting story of a city and its people. It will be an adventure that will open new sights in familiar surroundings. That city is Detroit.
If you're an American performance guy, there is one city that is the true epicenter of everything that fuels your passion. Despite its relative fall from grace, automotive talent is forever tied to this place, and to this day, car culture literally drips from its every pore. For 1 week each year, thousands make the pilgrimage back to where it all was created and pay homage to the city and the people who literally built the car industry.
Heard something, baby. Heard that it's true. You and your sisters been doing that doodly-doo. Hey, must I holler? Must I shake 'em on down? Well, I done got a problem, mama. I gotta shake 'em on down.
I was born in Detroit in 1966, shortly before my dad was transferred out of the Atwell lead labs and out of the state of Michigan. It's where my people come from, and some remain today. While my memories are few from those days, I do believe that's where my love for everything automotive originated from, and have always felt a very strong connection back to this great city. To attempt to show you the depth of the Mopar DNA that's still in and around this area, please come along with me for a look at Detroit through my Mopar looking glass. The Woodward Dream Cruise is built as a weekend event, but to truly enjoy the depth of what this event offers, you really should start your visit to the Motor City early. In my case, rather than head home after the Mopar Nationals weekend in Columbus, Ohio, I hitched a ride up to Detroit with MCG photographer Tim Costello, who hails from the area. There are literally hundreds of small shops around town that specialize in a variety of automotive specialties. My first stop was at Hemi Edy's, who is known worldwide as one of the go-to guys for the restoration of 62 through 65 Mopars. Tonight we're headed over to Hemi Edy's, and Hemi Edy right here. Who's your friend?
Well, this is Harold Black. He's kind of my right-hand assistant, my friend. He does it all. And whatever we need to do, he's there.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so basically he works cheap, right?
I don't know about
cheap as free.
I don't know about cheap, but he earns every dollar that he makes here, and he does a lot of great stuff for the products and the stuff that we work on for other people, and I don't know what I'd do without him sometimes.
Good deal.
We fight like brothers. I think we are brothers just from a different mother.
Right.
Yeah, I would go along with that.
Well, y'all's work speaks for itself, because everybody loves the stuff you do. So show me around and show me what you're working on.
Okay, so obviously this car, it's getting ready to go to McCacken.
We've actually got that one being featured in next month's magazine. We're doing a preview on that, so that'll be fun.
It's great. That's awesome. The car is awesome. It has great history. It was a car that bounced around a couple dealerships. It was raced by Caro's Produce,
yes.
Jerry Caro.
Down in my neck of the woods.
Down in your neck of the woods. That is exactly right. And
home in Louisiana.
It was probably the very first A990 to ever be restored.
Okay.
Steve Atwell restored his car back in the early 90s. It sat in the Chrysler Museum for a number of years, and then it went on its merry tour to different owners out in Washington State, here, there, and then my customer James Macros down in Florida purchased the car November a year ago and said we need to bring it up to today's standards. So it came to me, and we basically took the car apart. We did things that needed to be done. We beat the quarter panels in like they did at the factory. We made the interior color the correct gold, and then we did the primer and overspray underlook and kind of went through the car from front to back, just bring it up to today's standards.
What does it look like under the hood?
So under the hood looks good. We're waiting on some Dodge hood springs. These are the Plymouth ones on here. The Plymouth ones will not hold a Dodge hood up.
Really? That's crazy.
That is absolutely crazy.
How much heavier is this hood?
I don't know if it weighs. It has to weigh just a little bit.
Just enough to be.
Just enough for the Plymouth hinges not to hold it up.
Of springs, yeah.
Yes, or springs, correct.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so basically, you got your race Hemi orange engine in there, and 12.5 to 1. It fires up like you would not believe, and just a real good car. All the right stuff's on it. 972 radiator, race Hemi wires, the coil. it was just a real good cleanup to bring it up to date.
Cool.
What's really interesting about these cars, and a lot of people don't know this, is the oval was hand cut out.
Mm-hmm.
If you really take a look, and you can look at, follow that around there, it is not.
They've never looked real round to me ever.
It's real jaggedy, like snip, 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 snip,
right.
And so whenever we do a hood for somebody, we actually will snip it out like that and try to get some of these pieces in there. But this is an original hood on the car.
Right. So you try to get the imperfections that the factory would have done. That's how you go back with them.
Right. Exactly. Just like how these things were cut out. They were cut out with a torch.
Right.
We actually cut them out and then we torch them just to give the look, so we're not putting too much heat on a lightweight hood.
Right.
So this is, like I said, this car will be going to the M1 show on Friday, and that's the second time it'll be out because it was at Autorama. And then the other cool car that I have in here, which I have a number of cool cars. I mean, the aluminum one up there.
Let's talk about the aluminum one.
Okay, so this is another one that's owned by James Macris. It's really clean car, all original sheet metal, all the original aluminum.
So it's aluminum door, aluminum front end.
Yep. Lightweight steel front bumper. It's getting chromed right now. We got the aluminum hood scoop, and then it's got a bunch of aluminum up front. The upper grill support and everything. I have most of the assembly items already either done or restored or ready to be just put back together. I just got to wait now to do a little bit of metal work where when they did some metal work on the back of the car, they tack welded the frame rails onto the floor, and we want to clean that all up to make it look like it was never done. And that one will be primer and overspray, but it'll be a day 2 race car look with the Spencer Dodge logos on the side of it, and just taking it back to that period of time. He found some really great pictures of it, and we've already talked to the hand letterer who's going to letter a guy named Art by Carp, he's a local guy. He's lettered all my cars for me. He'll letter that car as well. It is amazing what he looked at a black and white picture and was able to spot and say, hey, based on the shading of that, I think the letter was red with an outline on it, which I didn't even pick that up. But that's why you have some of the best guys working, so they know what to look for.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And then the aluminum up on the wall with a lightweight bumper. That car is interesting deal. It's called the Blackjack Car. The car was offered to me, or the remains of the car was offered to me a couple years ago at Carlisle. We went down after the Kentucky Mopar show and looked at everything and found out that the body he had was the day 2 body. The guy thinks he knows where the day 1 body is. Unfortunately, I think he passed away because none of his phones or anything works, so I don't know whether I ever find that. But I have almost every cool piece from the Blackjack Car, and now I have to make a call whether I put it on another car or whether I sell it.
Right.
I will never rebody a car or say it was a rebody. The interesting thing is I have almost every single piece of the cool stuff that was put on, but I don't have the
car. Yeah.
And it's like, where do you draw that line to the originality of a car when you got the cool stuff, but you don't have the important part? So, if it ever gets back together, if it ever goes back as Blackjack, it'll be well documented, and hence why I'm talking about it now.
Right.
I will never be able to hide that. I will never be able to say it is, unless, of course, I can find, which supposedly the real car exists, a barn fell on it. If I could figure out where it's at, I'd go and look for it and try to restore the car and make it, bring one of the aluminum cars back to life. But like I said, that's the lightweight bumper, the fender's hood. I got the doors. He picked up the door one day with his pinky finger. I mean, they don't weigh anything if you've ever been around it.
Right. So the one underneath, you said, is a cool piece. What's that?
That's a 65 Plymouth A990. Kind of another cool story behind this one. This is one I'm waiting for the motor to come in. It should be here this week.
So who builds your motors?
So this one, the brothers that own this are also from Florida. They have a guy named Cossie Racing Engines in Atlanta. A guy named Cliff Moore does all the builds for them. He did the Hemi satellite motor. He's also doing this one. So I'll have this one coming in, and then basically hopefully it gets here, we'll paint it up like that one and then get it ready to go in. But another factory lightweight. The cool thing about this car, back probably in the early 2000s, This was the very first car, A990, I looked at to purchase.
Okay.
And I basically spent a whole day with the car. I went down through every single item that was with the car, everything I needed, and I just couldn't make it work on paper. So I abandoned the project. I think I looked at it in June. By October, November, I abandoned the project. And then all of a sudden, within a very short time after that, I found my black car. And then the numbers worked on that. The problem is I never wanted a 65 Dodge. I never wanted a black car. And that's the car I ended up owning for 1 week shy of 16 years. But so yeah, another factory lightweight. All the, most of it's already done. My red cabinet over there is full of the parts and components for the car.
And it's going to go back as a white car?
Yes. Yeah, no
lettering or anything?
It'll be an as-delivered primer and overspray car. But it's going to be a tremendously nice car.
So you obviously specialize in 63, 4, and 5s.
I truly like them. They're some of the baddest cars that were ever produced. Let me see here. So it's just slowly.
Just waiting for the assembly, right?
Plymouth Springs pulled up Plymouth hoods. Why, I don't know.
Well, that's crazy.
So this was, like I said, a very original car. I mean, it's got all the right pedigree parts of the car. And the wildest thing about the car, and boy, I wish I could show you a picture. When this part was, like most did, they were hacked right here. And
so they could take the radiator out and the cams out.
And do what they had to do.
Right.
When I looked at this car back in the day, this piece right here was all crinkled up in a box. And when the brothers purchased it, I said, yes, we have this piece with the VIN number or the SO number on the back of it. They said, can you fix that? And I go, oh yeah, no problem at all. We can fix it. And I think we looked at it that one night and said,
you can't fix that.
We fixed it.
And it was really interesting. Yeah, I don't have any pictures of it.
I mean, it was suitable for a scrap pile.
Right.
But the person who started restoring this car back in the 80s, I think, loved to braise. They brazed everything together.
Okay.
Which I MF'd it on many nights.
Yes.
But it was the saving grace, because when you were taking the parts off that they put on that shouldn't have been there, like the extra plating behind both of these.
Could you just heat it up and have it come off?
No,
okay.
I could slowly go through it, and when I seen the gold turn into metal, stop and peel it off.
Okay.
So it gave me that line in the sand to go to there and stop. And really, I peeled off everything off of these things that shouldn't have been there.
Right.
And then we put this piece back together. We actually sanded the two missing pieces. We sanded them down to make them lightweight so that they would fit in there. And then we built. I mean, you got to hear the whole story, because whatever we had to do, we built this fixture. Let's see here. And what's interesting, if you look at it, we had to cut it down the middle so that we could put that piece around it.
So you sandwiched it on there?
We sandwiched it on there, and then we were able to follow the contour and tweak it.
You just tooled it down through the middle of there?
Yeah, well, basically.
Hammered it, or?
No, basically, yeah. This became like the thing. We slipped it over there, and then we were able to keep it straight and manipulate it back into place. And then we were able to put the original number
piece back in. Yeah, that's cool.
And now that matches the rear package tray.
Everything's all the way through kosher. Yeah.
And,
cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of, like I said, the rest of the car was pretty solid. So it was a really good. It really wasn't in too bad a shape.
Cool.
Let's see here. What else? So we're getting ready to send the Hemi Edy to have it started. That's the one for the aluminum car up there.
Right.
And then there's a 74 Cuda that's kind of
somewhere
here, kind of gone. It was hitting the front end years ago, and it was put back together, and we're going to put on a frame machine so we can make sure the points are in the right spot. Once we do that, then we'll put new frame rails, a whole new front end on it, and then take it back, make sure it's in a line, and then put it back together. And then he's going to 4-link it. We have parts over there. He's going to upgrade it. He wants it to be a pretty nice street car. I think he's building about a 500 or 600 horsepower motor for it.
So most people think that this is a full-time shop, but this is actually an after-work shop, correct?
Well, that is correct, and probably until the end of this month it will be that way.
So you work for Chrysler now, right?
I do work for Chrysler.
Okay,
now.
what do you do over there?
So I work, I'm part of the Takata airbag team.
Mm-hmm.
So we recalled 10,984,858 airbags in the United States. I was the data guy for it. I was the guy who worked with, did a lot of new business ventures, trying to make sure that we could get auctions and other places repairing those things. It's real critical.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about the airbags is they don't get safer with time. They get worse with time.
Right?
Yeah, as the moisture accumulates in them and in the propellant in there corrodes, it becomes much more volatile. And then if it blows the canister apart, it throws shrapnel. And unfortunately, we've had a couple injuries. A couple fatalities.
Right.
So I've been on that team. Well, at the end of August, in just a couple short weeks from now, I'm gonna hang up my Chrysler badge, and then I'm gonna work on this probably more full time.
Full time, yes.
It has been, as I told everyone, it's been evening, weekends, holidays, vacations, birthdays, whatever it took to get the car done for the show. I was here doing it.
Well, it's truly amazing the caliber of work being an evening thing, because you work all day and you come here, and I guess you love this stuff so much that you spend so much quality time on it.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's not like you're rushing these things out the door. I mean, you're spending whatever it takes to make them right.
Whatever it takes, and I mean, and if there's a timeline that I have to hit, I don't know if I've ever really missed a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Hemi satellite that was at McCacken a couple years ago, it did really well. I got that car as a painted shell on August 31st. I didn't start building it until about a week later, and then I basically assembled the whole car in just a little under 2 months.
So do you have one guy that does all your paint work for you, or do you move that around?
Yeah, well, that car was painted by a guy named Bobby O'Dowd, Bobby O's Motorsports, and then there's another guy, Bill Bowden, who has PSI. He painted the last couple, including he did a lot of touch-up work on that car, and he painted that one for me.
His name comes up a lot. He must be really good.
He is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not only is he good, he's a Mopar guy. He's local, and he also has an affiliation with Chrysler because he does a lot of their special SEMA builds.
Okay, cool.
Jeeps and things like that. So, you know, that was kind of one of the interesting things when I would go down there. Initially, I wasn't allowed in his shop. No one was,
right,
because of what he's doing for Chrysler. Very secretive stuff. Well, when he found out I worked for them, then he allowed me in there, and I was probably one of the few people that was ever allowed to take pictures there. But I knew from what I do for the day job, I knew what to stay away from, and that relationship has gone on for many years. So this is a car. Bill painted this car for me 7 years ago. The customer hasn't seen it yet.
Okay.
He's seen pictures of it.
Okay.
He hasn't been here to see it. He's owned the car since '72. It is probably... See if I get my stick underneath there. It is a...
Come on in there.
I can't even
Yeah, come on back in here.
see what we got going on here. Okay, purple?
Oh yeah.
Is it a Roadrunner? What is that?
Nope, it is a 70 numbers matching 19,000 mile Hemi Cuda.
Oh, cool.
It is ready for assembly. I'm just missing key pieces like the speaker, the radio.
Just enough to stop everything.
I cannot build anything because I don't have key pieces. Like the dashboard has been done for 8 years. It's all wrapped up in a blanket cocoon, but I don't have the radio or the speaker. I'm not going to put the dashboard without that in there because you can't get it. I have the transmission. Lou Mancini went through the original transmission, said, Ed, what do you want me to do? It is, everything is great and is the way the factory assembled. I said, well, then just put it back together. That has been together for probably 9 years.
So do you find the hardest part of your job is getting the right parts to put these things together in a timely manner?
Surprisingly, from original parts, I've been doing this so long, I usually can find them pretty quick. What I find more frustrating is some of the suppliers who lollygag and take their good old time. And that's very few. right now we have some issues. I don't want to say what they are because I don't want to. The company does extremely good work.
Right.
But I'm 25 months waiting on parts for 3 different cars, and that we're gonna have to do something else because it's missing the parts for this car, which we want to have this at McCacken in a couple months. Right. And if the company didn't do it, the work that they do, I'd look for someplace else.
Right, but you can't. You're kind of locked in. Yeah.
No, it's what I need. But as far as everything else, I mean, I try to find parts that I think I need, and then I'll buy them. And if I need them, I need them, and if I don't, I don't. I mean, that's like this car. I mean, okay, so I'm Hemi Edy. I get that. This is a 70 Chevelle convertible 454 build. The guy lives in Switzerland. He found me out of a freak thing. I've cleaned up 3 or 4 cars for him, a couple Corvettes. We send them over to him, and he told me what he wanted to do, and I said, yeah, we can do it, no problem at all. He says, but I want to change the interior from blue to white, the pearl white. He says, I think that interior is gorgeous. So I happened to go online because I had a problem with the headrests, finding nice headrests for the car. So I went online and found a nice set of white headrests that were original. They were in Canada, and the guy wanted a pretty penny for them, like $5.95. And I'm like, I said, if he wants that car done and I can't find him, I'm shafted. So I bought the headrests. And then he came back and said, yeah, let's do the whole car. And I said, I'm glad you said that because I said, I have these headrests.
So you already bought the parts before you got the job.
I had that feeling that he was going to do the whole thing. And I stepped up. And you know what? I was doing enough of research on the headrest that...
You probably could have sold them if you needed to. Yeah.
I wouldn't have taken a hit on it. But it would have just been, But once again...
It all worked out.
The funny thing is, when he came to my house this past January, I was going through all his parts and showing him because I keep some stuff here and I have to keep some stuff at home because it's just too much. I keep the stuff that I want clean in my basement at home. So he was over there, I was going through everything. And when I pulled out the headrest for him, I showed him to him. I said, Guido, I bought these before you said do it. In case you said do it, now I don't have to find them. I have them, and then you'll have them on your car. So, like I said, I'm always kind of looking to see what I need and
to stay one step ahead of what you think you're going to need.
Right, right. And that's always a challenge because you don't want to have too much in inventory just sitting there doing nothing. But you also want to make sure that if you're doing these cars, you have the right things to put on the car so that you're not waiting for something really tough to find.
Well, it helps when you're doing specific cars like this because then you can kind of concentrate your parts along those lines. You're not doing the whole, A, B, and E body stuff. You're kind of concentrating on these old B bodies.
I do concentrate on the B bodies, and it's surprising how much is real similar between them and all that.
Yeah, there is, but they're not too. So I mean, like you said, the springs you would think would be the same, but who would have thought?
That's just one of those things, And I mean, it's pretty wild. We do try a lot of experimental things here. I graciously thank you for the article you guys did.
On the gold and beautiful car, yeah.
I mean, when we started stripping the race paint off of there, I mean, Harold, we were in here the one night, and I don't know if you can still see the stain over there on the floor, but, we figured out how to remove the paint without damaging the original paint, and that was a challenge. I guess, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I lost my taste and smell 2.5 years ago.
Did you? Okay. COVID deal?
COVID, yeah. I can't smell anything. So I can be in here and these things can be running. If they're rich, I can't tell if they're rich. You can't. I can't smell chemicals. I can't smell anything. So what happens is we're usually in here.
Rubber on the bandsaw.
Oh yeah, that's right. I couldn't smell the rubber when. That's right. Right. Yeah. Every now and then I'll smell something, but it's really wild. So I have to be kind of careful. And but that night we were doing that, or those days we were doing that car, I couldn't tell we were doing it. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
So that's the bad side. That's the good side. The bad side is I can't enjoy a cheeseburger.
Yeah. That's not good.
It's all texture. So I mean, I'm just trying to think what other cool stuff we have here. I mean, my wall of fame includes about half the cars I did. Probably the coolest thing that ever occurred in the shop was in 2012. when we were getting ready for the Meadowbrook Concourse to Elegance, the first time they allowed factory altered wheelbase cars and that in the show, I had 4 altered wheelbase cars in here. I had the long nose gas Ronda, and you can see the Landy cars in the background in restoration. The car next to it was the altered wheelbase above it, but that was, I mean, so there's 3 of them right there, right. In the shop. But that car was already gone whenever we had the Fable car, the Landy car, and where'd the Strickler car go? Oh, that fell off the wall the other night. Have to put it back up. I think this is the yeah. So
you've had more altered wheelbase cars through here than in probably any other shop.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and I have a picture somewhere. I took a picture from up there where the tires are of the Landy car, the Fable car, the Strickler car, and the Gas Ronda car before I had the lifts in here. And I thought, what a great picture, and I want to frame it, and I can't find the picture. And I'll never get the cars back in here to do that.
A once-in-a-lifetime deal.
But here's the cool thing right now. Today we have race Hemi car, race Hemi car, race Hemi car, numbers matching 70 Hemi Cuda, another race Hemi body. And where do you find that in 2023 where you have 3 race Hemi cars in one shop and half of another one?
In a 50 by 50 shop, right?
45 by 45, 50 by 50. I wish I had you. Without a doubt, we use the extra. I mean, I've learned how to pack this thing full. The funny thing is, yeah, you noticed that? Yeah, I had to put the CUDA part somewhere, so I went and bought some 2x4s, and they're hanging up there for right now until we need to get them back down.
Well, I appreciate the tour. Thanks for having us, and I'm impressed with what you're doing here. It's beautiful stuff.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I appreciate you coming by, and I like what Mopar Collector's Guide does for the hobby and for the enthusiasts, and your involvement is much greatly appreciated as well, so thank you.
On Tuesday, prior to the big Woodward Cruise weekend, the retired Chrysler engineers get together downstairs at Dugans Irish Bar and Grill on Woodward Boulevard. If you want to learn all the secrets of the day, all you need to do is get an invite and then just sit back and listen to the stories. They are priceless. While watching the Mopars filter in, many a person, including myself in the past, have been upstairs in this bar totally oblivious to the priceless history being reckoned below.
Really? Well, I got a story for you real quick. This is my car, right? 69 Camaro. 2 nights ago, I raced a 440 Challenger and a Ferrari. All 3 of us went for it. This is north of Birmingham. I got to jump on them. I whipped them all. The guy in the Ferrari couldn't drive. I could hear the guy in the 440. His motor was right next to my window.
What motor do you have in that thing?
Just a little old 350.
Really? Remember Bill Gill? Bill Gill was a guy that came out of the fuel system lab. He had one wooden leg. He had one, when I met him, he had one wooden leg. And by the way, he lost it on a motorcycle. Bill Gill's Cobra, he had a side pumping 427 initially in his Cobra. He won the drags here 2 years in a row. He got beat the year before he died by a guy with a twin turbocharged Chevelle. Beat him by 1,000 of a second. According to Bill Gill. And Bill Gill was a hell. And you worked with Bill Gill, right?
At the Woodward drag races here?
Bill Gill, great guy. And there's a story about Bill Gill. He was a practical joker. And McLeese and I, was he a joker?
Oh, yeah.
Dave Bachesky, the guy who flew over there, invited us to an event. And Bill Gill's giving a speech in front of his Cobra car. And he had an A-body drag car. Right? Here's Bill Gill on a microphone. And he's a practical joker. And McLeese and I flew into, when our airplane, we flew into, rented an airplane, flew into Troy Airport, we run into Bill Gill. Bill Gill's such a practical joker, he'd drive you nuts. And now, at this car event I got invited to by Dave Bachesky, I see Bill Gill standing on a box podium with his wooden leg, and he's giving a speech. And I was ready, McLeese and I were ready, and I had a bottle in my hand, and he starts the speech, and we're in a semicircle listening to this guy talk. And all of a sudden I says, all right, Larry, let's go do it. So I start walking toward him, and he's looking at me, walking at him, and he's talking to all these car people behind me, right? I don't know who these people are. And he says, what the hell are you doing? And I sprayed his wood leg with copper tone spray, and he comes out and says, you're taking this. What the F are you doing? And I said, well, Larry told me it might blister in the sun. That's a legit story.
Hey,
And here's a story that is his car, engine and the K&K insurance. My police and I, duty on a Sunday, on Ludwig at the proving, I told me no faster than 150. So Dr. Schwett says no faster than 150. And we had our mule car, that's K&K, Bobby Isaac mule car. We had Dave Paczynski Springs, we had it all set up. We did the ride rate, and we put linear transducers on each corner, 4 corners. And we had an inclinometer, and it had off the body low on the line. And our job was to come up with chin spoiler angles and rear, the clothesline we call it, spoiler angles, to see how much downforce we got. And we thought these spoilers, you see them all over these BMWs, all these, they don't only come into effect 110 miles an hour. I mean, you got to get going, right? And we were going to go 110, 120, 130. Nah, that didn't work. We went 120, 40, 60. We never went 80 yet. And so we're dialing up the rear, the front, and we're looking at the downforce. And we had 400 pounds per inch, right? We got down. Back then, NASCAR was real. You had to race a stock car, and pretty close. Yeah, okay. You're the cheater. He's in the Hall of Fame. You got to interview him. Interview him, not me. But so I had Larry McLeish and I were the drivers, and John Pointer, the aerodynamicist, and the mechanic was a guy named Bones Lockridge, skinny mechanic like you, that was thought of us engineers as a bunch of bums, right? Stupid people. And I was following Larry with one of our police cars, and that car would go about 155 miles an hour, and we would alternate driving. And all we did was body O-line, 5 degrees at the front, 5 degrees at the rear, drive. We go, that's a 5-mile oval, and we're dialing it up with his motor. And this is Sunday morning, and we got the 160, and we had basically kind of a linear curve. We knew what the downforce, and of course you're changing it. So we said, well, let's get up to 180. So we're driving it. I get out of the car, Larry gets in the car. Larry McLeish is gone. John Pointer is gone. Bones Lockridge is gone. And that's when we had, you can only race the body style you had, right? But I'm following Larry, and now we're booking, and now once we get to those speeds, we would trigger our pin recorder, trigger it, tells us what the downforce is. He's blowing black smoke out of right front. We come all the way around to our little pit area that was there, and we burnt the hole in the fender, right front fender like this. And that's a 33-degree bank track. And I go, whoa, we're in trouble. Well, we can get a lot more out of this car, but we're running out of tire clearance. I called Larry Rathgeb. We're in deep trouble. The car will do a lot more. I said, but we ran out of tire clearance. And Larry Rathgeb on the phone Sunday morning says, well, cut a hole in the goddamn fender and give me tire clearance and finish the test. John Pointer says, hey, I can put a scoop on there because you couldn't trade the die. The corporation's not going to pay for a new draw dies for 500 cars. You're right, they're not going to do that. So I go, oh, Jesus Christ. So us stupid engineers, we finish our test, and there's where you get the reverse scoop on the wing cars, and everybody will tell you that it's for getting the heat out of the brakes. And nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with tire clearance that came from Larry Rathgeb. That's the story of that scoop. And one of the guys in the Model A club that knew Jack Baum in our club, and Herb Von Rustin, they're both gone now too. this guy named Tom Hoover, not the injured Tom Hoover, went to a car event at Novi, ran into a guy that had a wing Plymouth, and he says, hey, I heard a guy from our club talk about this store. And the guy says, he's full of shit. It's to get the heat out. The guy around the corner was the guy that we built that car, the Penske Dodge that you and I and Wachowski worked on. What the hell was his name? The race car driver from Rochester Hills. Keselowski's father was there with this guy's truck. He goes, that is a true story. That's a Larry Rathgab. Look him up. You guys were the one with the first restrictor plate car, your wing car, and they had NASCAR checked it, and what happened to that plate, the restrictor plate that they had? That's a great story.
Now, one of the things we did, the rules were a certain diameter when they had the restriction. But what we did, we made a ideal entrance inside the intake manifold, but it met the requirement for the diameter. And we stuck that in there, so if we put a gauge in there, it was legal. But we gained, we only lost about 10% versus 70% with just a plate. You lost 70% of the power. You put the ideal entrance back in, and you only lost 10%.
So I looked at the Hemi this morning. They had a reverse tunnel ramp for NASCAR. So you can stick your fist all the way down the intake. It went really low and then came back up. But it had 2 4-barrels on it. What would they have run at?
The 2 4-barrels, well, it was a conventional manifold.
Yes.
Yes, that was what they first started with.
Just
2 4-barrels.
Just on the test? Because they only ran 1 4-barrel in the NASCAR.
In the early days, they were 2 4-barrels.
Okay.
Chrysler 300 days, they were 2 4-barrels.
But you could take your whole hand and stick down to that intake. It basically was a reverse tunnel.
Yeah.
John, excuse me. Rathgab said that you had that restricted plate that on there, but at speed, it would deteriorate. Well, listen, there's the story. No, that's the story. This is a great story.
I can't take credit for that. One of our guys, Alan Nichols, went to the chem lab and found there were metal-like plastic that had a low melting point. And so made duplicate plates out of this material. And then after you ran for so long and the heat would come out, the plates would start, it would open up the area.
Did anybody ever figure that out?
Oh yeah.
But you guys could run that car, and they qualified. You guys were like 9th or 10th, and then Chris Economaki was out there, and Rathgab says, you got to watch this, he says, because that restrictor plate is going to evaporate. And then the Mopar guys, you guys were all nose to tail, and Chris Economaki bit it. He goes, if they run nose to tail, they can run faster than the competitors. And they had no restrictor plate, and they could kick anybody's butt, and they beat the hell out of everybody. They cheat. They're a good cheat. Look at him. Look at that. He's got a very like angelic face, but he's a cheater. The guy's a crook. The guy's a cheat.
Just play.
But you know, you talk about Larry Rathgab, and you know, and meeting. I met him with Larry Rathgab and Larry McLeese, and that's what I said. Story. But when Larry McLeese retired, I was working in Toledo. I went from engineering to manufacturing at the time. And I came in there late, and he saw me come in, and he's with this guy. He says, sit your ass down there and shut up, asshole. So I sat down. I'm sitting next to, one chair away, Dale Earnhardt, Maurice Petty, Dale Inman at that table. With my big mouth, I didn't say a word. And that was Larry Rathgab's buddy. He was a great guy. Great guy.
There's got to be something no one's ever heard before, Teddy.
I don't know that you want to know that one.
Come on now.
No, we can't do that.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
No, I can't.
Yeah, don't tell the story you can't tell. You got to have one you can tell.
I like your cat. That's good. But I can't tell that story.
Oh, come on.
I can tell you one.
All right, tell it. Larry Shepard.
Yeah.
Direct connection.
He and I had an eating contest one night.
Okay.
I lost.
What were y'all eating?
As we walked out of the Mexican restaurant, which was where we were, having had the, 4-plate combination plate, he motored his down, I finished mine. He wanted to stop and get an ice cream on the way home. I couldn't even. I admitted defeat. I have never challenged anybody since.
Wow, that's a good one.
That is a good one. So
Well, it's not dirty. And
No. And it's legit. Nobody
knew that?
Over that.
He was sitting up front in the car, and I had the back seat, the seats facing rearward, and whatever it was.
right. So you guys were at Direct Connection. Do you guys test any of those parts on the street at all, or did you give them to the race car guys to do that?
We tested it at the drag strip.
Really?
For the most part.
I don't.
We didn't do.
I don't think we weren't doing any street stuff.
No, nothing like that.
No,
Come on, man.
Maybe they got not really.
Not really.
Yeah, because they were Chrysler owned cars.
Right.
His shop's about a half a mile from here, right over there.
Yeah.
Now it's a hair salon.
Right.
I don't know.
They tore it down and put a new building in.
No, not during with those A bodies, because that's when Ross Smith worked in.
Yes. Some of the people did, but not
Not the corporate guys.
No. The stuff that we had at the shop, we got plenty of racing at the drag strip on test day. We didn't have to go out and race on the street.
So what was your favorite car that you worked on?
Favorite?
Yeah, fastest, favorite, funnest.
Oh, I always liked the first missile car.
Really? Why is that?
I don't know, it was
Just
the
new and
first
different?
car.
Yeah.
It was, no politics were involved at that time.
Right.
It was just building a good car. And it was a good car.
Was that considered the cable car, or was the cable car after?
The
Cable car came
cable
after.
car was A body. That was going to be an ultralight with a small engine in it.
Right.
And I think they pulled the plug by then. So to my knowledge, I don't think that car ever raced.
Really?
It did race once, right?
Herb McCandless ended up with it. Yes, it took a year or two. And I don't remember the one that got it from.
The one that Joe had?
Yeah.
Bill, you want some?
Yeah, the wire truck.
Yeah, the wire car. Yeah. I don't.
But remember, we had a big deal. Remember, I didn't know this. I didn't remember this. Addison built an A-body.
Yeah, we were just talking about it earlier. That Bill Adams.
He had it.
Yeah.
He ran it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
He finished it.
But that's like a wire car.
No, it's not the wire.
In the early days, so this is early 1970. So everybody, acid dipping was the thing. So it's like, why would you pay to have it done? You can learn to do it yourself, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So the first time we put a bell housing in a plastic garbage can, and in about 10 minutes, like all the water's running down the street into the sewer. Because it's like, holy shit, that gets hot fast. So then we dug a hole out next to the shop and lined it with plastic and did our dipping.
Thinned it out good.
Yeah, she was a hairdresser.
Okay.
And she worked in a shop with another hairdresser. And that hairdresser was the girlfriend of Dale Reeker, who was head of product planning in the high performance part of it at that time. So they jaw jacking back and forth,
Okay.
And one day they sent a car out to me to do some prep work on it. High performance car. And by that time I had my gas station, so I was doing super tunes,
for, you know, predominantly prices, but I did some, a lot of GM stuff, GTOs. Remember the GTO came out in '64.
Right.
So, you know, you recurve the distributor, and you know, so you do all that stuff. So it's a super tool. Maybe charge $30 spent.
Oh, wow.
A lot of money. And so they sent a car out to me to do, and I couldn't even tell you what it was. And then another came out, and then finally I met Dick Maxwell, who worked in product planning, and you know, we hit it off, him and his wife, and Tina and I, and you know, just one thing led to another, and just, you know, and then I built I did an engine. There was a guy, his name was Dick House, he was a salesman at Macaulay Rickey, and they raced the Detroit drag wagon. And so I did an engine for him, and they started to do better. So then he was able to get an A990 car for me, and so then we got an A990 car, and you know, then Dick got some factory support, and then it just started to snowball.
While leaving Dugans, we ran into the president of the Michigan region of the Plymouth Owners Club and his beautiful 1946 convertible. Right here, what year is this?
46 Plymouth.
46, and you are pretty high up in the Plymouth Club here in Detroit?
I'm the president of the Michigan region of the Plymouth Owners Club.
Ah, you're a glutton for punishment.
Yes, true.
How big is the club?
Internationally, I think there's 3,500 or 4,000 members. Michigan region, we probably have about 50 members.
Yep. And it's mainly old stuff or new stuff or everything?
No, it goes from, in the region, early 30s up to early 70s, Dusters, stuff like that. So we're pretty good. A lot of 60s stuff now. A lot of guys do the newer cars.
All right.
They're easier to drive.
This one's unusual. What do you got under the hood?
Well, it's a flathead 6, like it originally had, but it's a little bit modified.
That's cool. Whose intake is that?
So it's a lot of vintage speed equipment. It's a Fenton intake, Fenton headers, Edmunds cylinder head. It's all
everything's period correct.
Well, it's all 50s vintage stuff. It's got like Ford Escort carburetors and GM HEI ignition, air conditioning.
What made you decide to do this car?
I don't know how to answer that. When I was 14, I bought a 48 Chevy Coupe. I just liked the big round cars. And in the 80s, I decided I wanted a convertible, and I worked for Chrysler, so Plymouth was on the list, and I ended up finding this Plymouth. So I've actually owned it since the 80s. I just actually finished it in the last this year. So.
What's an absolutely gorgeous piece, so thank you for showing it to us, and we're looking forward to seeing it cruising out there.
Thank you.
If you want to find the real grassroots Mopar hotspot, it takes place on Wednesday at the Donut Cutter on Woodward Boulevard. You got your car out here?
I got my Superbird. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. Where'd you go?
I haven't.
Lime green Superbird?
Yeah, I'll come over there in just a minute.
I got the floor keys and all
that. Yeah, cool. All right, so how did all this stuff get started?
Well, I don't know exactly the exact origin of it. I believe it was a local Mopar club, I think, that actually started it back in the day, and probably 3 or so years ago, the Twisted Axle Car Club got involved in it, and we bring out probably 10 to 15 members at least on this night every year, and just show up and try to fill the lot with Mopars.
Now you guys are all Mopar, or?
No. It's kind of a misconception. No, we are not all Mopar. We're heavy Mopar, but it's not all Mopar. So, but tonight is the Mopar night at the Donut Cutter, Wednesday night of Woodward Week.
Right. Tell me about the Donut Cutter. This is just a local donut shop?
It's a local donut shop on Woodward who's very renowned for their donuts here, and they've been very gracious enough every year on this particular Wednesday to loan us their parking lot, and we try to help them out with some business, and they stay open late for us, and it works out very well. So
when does this get started? Like noon or 1 or 2? Or?
Usually there's some guys starting to arrive here by 2 o'clock or so, 2:30, and then by 4 or 5 o'clock it's really heavy. So, and it'll be all night, in and out all night long.
Cool, cool. Well, you guys do a great job.
Well, thank you.
I've heard about it, and I'm finally getting here and checking it out. So thanks for your hospitality.
Yeah. You'll have to stop by. The club president is actually right here.
Oh, okay.
So
let's talk.
He'll have some.
Let's
more
talk to him.
I gave him my.
Hey, Robert from Mopar Collector's Guide and Mopar TV. We're here covering your show.
Oh,
so,
hey, how you doing, man?
So he gave us the rundown on it. But
All right.
how many members are in your club?
Probably 70 hardcore members,
Right.
but on our page there's about 200 to 300.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
so we communicate mostly through social media and do it that way.
Yeah.
But it kind of varies, right?
So if you're on Woodward and you got a Mopar, you're welcome, right? Coming out on Wednesday and hang out.
Well, we are all makes and models club, but just this Wednesday, we're Mopar heavy, so we got a lot of cars.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I've had it for 33 years. It's a 4-speed car.
Mm-hmm. 440, 4-speed.
Yep.
Looks like a great driver.
I driven it 2,000 miles last month. Carlisle, in the Nationals, and now up here.
No trailers, right?
Nope, never. We got 4 seat belts across the back because I put those in because we had 4 kids, triplets at the time of these. This is the ice cream car, like a lot of people's cars.
Right.
I had a lot of fun with it. It's awesome.
Did a good job keeping it up. It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
All right. You said you got something I've never seen before?
Yeah. Come on.
All right.
Yeah, we just started putting it.
Well, you gotta just understand it's a Mopar, right?
Okay.
But a 2-door wagon that they call the Suburban.
Right.
Did you ever see one?
Yep, I have.
All right.
Very
Well,
few
a
of
lot
them.
people
Very
have
few
it.
of them. Yep.
But it's kind of a cool car, you know. I mean, years ago I seen one of these and I thought, man.
Yeah, that's a great piece. Need some surfboards on the roof.
Yeah.
So you drive it all the time?
All the time.
So you're running out 4 in it or what?
Yeah, that's 6-cylinder flathead
6-cylinder flathead 6?
But it's got a couple. It's got Benton headers on it.
Oh, cool. We got some old speed stuff on it.
But it's a Mopar. I'm a muscle car guy, but
Ain't nothing wrong
this
with that.
is just something different.
Oh, good. It's a great cruiser, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing it to me.
Yep.
So this is John Pappas. John Pappas started 5-Star Video. When did you start that, man?
Yeah.
When did you start it?
When? 1982.
1982. Then you had camcorders that were bigger than you.
Man, they were too.
Yeah.
I had like a big shoulder-mounted camcorder, and then carry a with a cord attached to it, a portable VHS deck.
Okay.
Oh, that was a pain.
And so you got like a room full of all VHS stuff stacked up
Yup.
over the years. So you shot for how many years?
Oh my God, 490 titles.
Okay. 490. Yeah. Every time I would go to the starting line and shoot static pictures, you'd be there doing video. So.
You know what they say, them were the days. Them were the days.
So what are you doing with it now? Are you digitizing it or?
If somebody wants something, we can make them for them, but other than that, I'm chilling like a villain.
Okay, but you've got pretty much every Mopar show from, 82 forward, right? Up until...
Coast to coast, from Englishtown to Spring Fling.
And when did you retire? When did you retire?
2016.
Okay, so you got all the good years.
Last show I did was Minnesota.
I know. I know. You
That
got
was one of my favorite shows.
Yep, still a good show. Well, thanks, John.
Thanks, Rob.
Oh, sure.
Mark here generally brings a movie car out, but no movie car tonight. What's up?
I guess this is the big guns. I brought the big guns out today. I don't want these guys making fun of me.
So do you still have Corky's Cuda?
I do. I'll never
All right.
sell that one. That's my favorite.
And what about the Green Hornet stuff? Any of that stuff
I
left?
just sold my Green Hornet car after 14 years.
Okay.
I had 3 of them. I had 2 Barris cars and I had a movie one. And I sold the last one last year. A great guy bought it from me. He's got like 50 movie cars.
Right.
An original Batmobile.
Right, cool.
So,
he had to have it, huh?
He's a perfect guy.
Yeah,
big Barris guy. Yeah.
What other movie stuff do you have left?
So I have the generally the drift car from the number 20 car,
Right.
4-speed,
Right.
and for the movie, and then I have 3 Fast and Furious cars. I have a Mazda RX-7, Vin Diesel's car from the first movie. I have a Maxima, a 99 Maxima from the first movie,
Right.
and I have a BMW from the 4th movie, an orange one.
A lot of interest in those Fast and Furious cars, aren't there?
You know,
it's amazing
that's
how
the
many
thing.
people get into them.
That's the thing. It's a younger crowd,
Right.
and it's kind of weird. It's like I have the older stuff and the younger stuff. It depends on where I'm going when I'm on
Right.
Woodward. There's a lot of younger people on Woodward,
Right.
so they really love that younger, fast, serious cars.
Different demographic, but it's good to get them in. You know?
Yeah, I also got getting into the turbo cars, the 80s cars.
Yeah.
I bought a Shelby CSX 89.
Okay.
And 34,000 mile original owner, so I
Okay.
have that. You know, and I just sold a few cars, so I had a Trans Am, believe it or not, GM, I had 78.
No, no Grand National
I don't know what
yet?
happened there.
No Grand National yet?
No, I might, if I buy Grand National, it'll probably be from the movie.
Okay.
From the Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious movie, yeah.
I always have to have something that has some kind of
significance.
pizzazz to it,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, so
Cool.
So yeah, I'm happy with what I got. I just
Well, show me the bird. I've never known you to have like a factory original car like this.
You know, I've had a few. Actually, believe it or not, I've had about 75 Mopars.
Right. Yeah.
Before I got into the movie stuff.
Right.
So you know, when I was younger, like, but you know, me and John, he had the white Superbird, and I was always looking for a Superbird, and I finally, I bought a lime green one when I was 17. It was a 446 pack automatic. I should look at that, right? So, anyways, I had that car for like 3 years. I wanted a 4-speed car. I sold it, and man, all these years I've been trying to find another 4-speed car. I found some here and there, but I always get somebody, you know, outbids me, or I don't have the money, or whatever.
Right.
So all of a sudden, this guy sent me a thing that said Utah cars for sale. It was like a Craigslist deal. And I called the guy and I said, you know, can you tell me about the car? And he's like, oh my God. I go, how many phone calls have you had? He goes, I don't even know. So this car was sitting from 1981. They bought it in 76, second owner. Sat from 81. I guess he blew something and he just didn't drive it from 81 till 4 years ago.
Right.
And then the father died way back then. The mother died, you know, 4 years ago. So I said, you know, he told me, he's had a lot of calls. I said, well, I really wouldn't have called you if it wasn't lime green. So he goes, well, call me tomorrow. So I said, I'm not going to get this car. Too many calls. So my brother said, call tomorrow. I said, okay, I'll call. So I called, and the guy said, you know, I'm going to sell the car to you. He goes, you're a nice guy. I don't know. I fooled him. I fooled him. You know, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I bought the car. It had a little bit of rust on the rocker here in the quarter. And I had it all restored.
Who painted it? Restored it?
It's a place in Waterford called Drayton Motors.
Did a nice job on it. It's beautiful paint.
They did a good job, yeah. It's a matching number, it's 444 speed. And before I bought it, I said, you know, make sure. And he took a video of the numbers. I said, it's got to be matching numbers.
Right.
So obviously, and so it's a great color, 4-speed, all matching trans and everything.
Plus, it brings you back to that time period when you had that other one. So
Yeah, and it's 4-speed.
Yeah.
You know, but I had to wait like 30-something years.
Well, you did
know.
it though, right?
I got it, I'm older now. But
Pop the hood for me. Let me see that thing.
I'm a little older now, but what are you going to do?
It takes a little time.
I'm older than you, but you know. Hopefully got some years of fun with this thing, you know. These hoods are really heavy all the time. There we go. It's maybe a little dirty, but...
Yeah, they did a nice job on it, so it's a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
So what's next?
You know, there's something, you know, something's coming up. I don't really know. I don't have anything in my sights, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not really like craving anything, but
Right.
you know, you never know, because I've been talking to the guys out there in California just recently, but they're throwing all this stuff that I don't want. They're like, remember this movie? I go, no, I never heard of that movie. I never heard of that actor. You know, and I go, give me something good.
Yeah.
You know? So, anyways, we'll see.
Cool.
I'll have something.
Well, we always love your stuff, so thanks for showing it to me.
Thanks for asking.
All right, man. All right. You said the apple fritters are good here?
Yeah, so if you come into the donut cutter, you absolutely have to try the apple fritters.
All right, we're going to do that.
Unbelievable.
We're going to get a couple of those. Tell me about the Super Bee.
1970, it's actually just a plain Coronet 440. I've owned it since 1989. I drove it to high school.
Right.
It's currently a 512 cubic inch stroker. It's got a 6-pack on it, 3800 converter. Manual valve body with a gear vendor overdrive.
All right, you from the Detroit area up here?
Actually, Bauer North. So
Okay.
Port Huron area. So, yeah, it's super fun to drive. Our kind of our club motto is drive your shit. So it gets driven hard. Best ET to date's 1152 at 113. And we drive it as much as we can.
Cool, great piece, man.
Thank you.
I mean, I know it's a lot of years though, but it was a triple black RTSC 440 Challenger with a gator top, and you wanted to get over there.
I vaguely remember.
Red sights, right? I'll tell you, last time I was going to do it, you said, I want to do it, and I didn't have the luggage rack on it. You go, well, let's just set it on it.
Okay.
And then you were going to come over, the weather got bad, you said, I can't.
So we never got it done?
Never got it done.
Well, you still got it?
No, I got rid of it.
Okay.
I got the scooter here.
Okay.
This used to be mine. It's my brother-in-law's. Yeah, it's a real shaker.
Is it factory 6-pack Roadrunner?
Yeah, it's a real postcard, real 4-speed, real black.
Well, you're a glutton for punishment with all these black cars.
Majority of them are black.
Are they really?
Yeah, I like the black 4-speeds.
Right.
Yeah, this is a real deal.
It's a numbers car?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long you had it?
Quite a while. I got it from a friend of mine. A friend of mine had it in Texas. He sold it to a buddy of his in California, and it took me 3 years to get it back from him.
Well, how many cars do you have? Every time we run into you, we're shooting another car for you.
Yeah, I got, I had 22. I went down to about 3, and then I got, probably got about a dozen. I probably got almost 20 cars between the both of them.
So do you restore them, or you just buy them done, or what's your philosophy?
Either way, I would love to get them done. Buy them already done.
Right, makes it easier.
Makes it a lot easier. You can drive them, enjoy them.
Right.
Sometimes I can buy the ultra rare one. So if you got to get them and it's a basket case, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, you got a stick in this too. Huh?
Oh yeah. So 99% of my cars are 4-speed.
Came with a black stripe on it?
No,
you added that one?
That was added.
Okay.
That was the only thing that was added to the car, though. It's a 410 car.
Cool, beautiful car.
White leather interior. It's got the overhead console too, like the Grand Coupe.
Right.
And it's a 29,000 original mile car.
I like the white interior.
Yeah. 71, same way, billboard car, black, white billboard, shaker lever car.
Great piece. Great piece. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, Rob.
I got word there was an automotive bookstore right up the road that I had to see called Pastiners, so I headed out before traffic got too bad. Looking over their newsstand selection, they had Mopar Collector's Guide displayed front and center in this vast automotive wonderland of memorabilia. So if you find yourself needing the latest copy of our magazine and you're in Detroit, this is the place to get it on Woodward.
This is good. I retired, and Steve and Jan live about half a mile from me. So the week I retired, Jan said, "You're going to work at the bookstore on Monday so Steve can get a break." And you don't say no. So I've been doing this for about 8 years. Yeah,
That's
just
awesome.
a ton of fun. Keeps me plugged in with car community
And what's your name?
Neil Walker.
Neil?
Yep.
And Neil, you come from Chrysler?
Yep, retired Chrysler, 30 years in engine design.
All right, and what kind of cool stuff did you do?
Oh gosh, cool stuff. NASCAR. I was lead engineer on NASCAR program from 98 through, gosh, 06. I was lead engineer, managed engine design for that. Did pro stock, sprint car, that kind of stuff. Then I went over to Mopar, redid some Gen 2 Hemi stuff, blocks heads, crate engines, stuff like that. Then SRT, so worked on 6.4 and then Gen 5 Viper, and retired, and now I'm hanging out here.
Well, you had the job everybody wanted.
Well,
how'd you manage that?
It was a busy job.
It was still a fun job, right?
So I had a good time doing that, and I restore cars on the side. I got a bunch of old Studebakers and whatnot, so do a little drag racing. We drag races up in the pure stock series, and fast car factory stock out at Martin. So keeping busy.
Cool.
Retirement's good.
Cool. Nice to meet you, man.
Yep, good to meet you guys. Yep.
Completely across town is Galling Chrysler, and they not only cater to new Mopar muscle cars, but also run a full-service shop for classic Mopars known as Roseville Mopars. Hey David, how are you?
Hey Rob, good. You? Good to see you.
Glad to see you.
Same here, sir.
So how's it going?
Good. Very busy here in Michigan.
So we're here with David Radcliffe, and busy because of Woodward, but you guys are always busy. You've established yourself as kind of the go-to guy here in this area for Mopar parts.
Yeah, we've been doing the parts thing online for about 20 years, and we blew it up into basically a full restoration shop for Mopars.
I mean, it's really an old school speed shop too, which in this day and time is like printing a magazine.
True. Very true.
Who knew that would work?
Yeah, right. But yeah, we got a lot going on. A lot of customer cars we're doing. We got a couple cars we've built for ourselves for the shop to sell.
Right.
But yeah, we're busy and we're staying good.
So you guys have a restoration facility, you restore the cars, you sell the cars, and you have the parts to keep them going and keep them running.
Yep.
So, and basically how did this happen? You started with the dealership over there, doing service over there, and it just kind of morphed into the old stuff?
Correct. So, when Goodmark came about 20 years ago, I looked at it as an opportunity, and I talked to the owner at that time, and I said, hey, let's keep everybody busy and start selling more parts. So Mark Hedrick was there at the time, and we started doing a lot of sheet metal, and then we created a website, and then AMD evolved. We got deeper into AMD. So we pretty much sell what everybody else sells, all the big box stores, except for we're smaller.
Right.
We have like 55 different vendors that we buy parts from directly, and we sell and ship parts all over the world, and we fix them here as well.
The cool thing though is if you're in the Detroit area, you can stop by and you can pick this stuff up. It's not something you have to order online.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have about on the ground, we usually have about 600,000 to 800,000 a time. Between mechanical parts and sheet metal,
right?
Glass, some trim. We know the problems with trim right now, but yeah, I mean, if you're in the area, feel free to stop by anytime. We'd be happy to help you out, and we have well-rounded guys in the back that have been with me for a few years, and they know the parts gig.
All right, can you show us around the place?
Sure can. Sure can.
We'll just follow you through.
So these are cars we have for sale: 71 GTX, 440 Dana car, 70 Gator Green.
Tell me about the Charger. That's a neat piece there.
That's a neat piece. It's a numbers matching 440 4-speed track pack 354 Dana, real Gator Green, and a green stripe car, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
70 Dart 340 4-speed, real lime green, black top, black hood treatment car, which is pretty cool. This car runs really good. That's a 4-speed as well.
This is the parts department?
Yep, main parts area when you walk in. Ryan's here helping a couple customers. There's Paul. John's out back doing some packaging. We have a little bit of everything on display in the main area, new and used parts.
Right. Now most of the stuff I see is for the older cars, but do you also service the new cars too?
Yep. We got 16 guys next door that do nothing but new car repair, and I've got 7 guys here between this building and the body shop to do all the restoration and mechanical repairs on the old car stuff. So this is our engine lineup.
Complete packages?
Complete packages. We know you got the 345, the 392, the standard Hellcat. Here's a red eye. This is the DSR 1150.
Yeah, that's the bad boy there.
That's the bad boy there, and a Gen 2 Hemi.
Do you have any problem supplying these, or are they all ready to go?
Nope, ready to go. All these are in stock. This actually is for my Hemi Roadrunner that's in media blast, getting ready to go to body work now, but we have Hemi blocks in stock that we ship all the time, so we're pretty good with Callies on getting blocks and turnaround.
I just talked to a customer yesterday.
So this is kind of like our assembly area back here. We got a clean room, somewhat clean. 73 Dart we have being built for a guy, pretty custom for him and his son to build. Took the side markers out, did a lot of sheet metal work with it.
Right.
That car was painted about 2 weeks ago. It's the newer B5 blue that you would see on the Charger Challenger now, and pretty cool car. I'm gonna put a 6.1.
Now, do you do the body work and paint work here?
Yep,
So everything's done in-house?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Everything we do, we try to do everything in-house and take care of the customer all at one time. Here's another 69 Cornet that we've done, like the blue one out front, or the blue one over there, and the green Charger. These are all customer cars back here.
Right. Now, when you sell one of these cars out front, you offer full service for those.
Absolutely.
For as long as they need it, right?
Yeah. We're able to take care of them. We pick up and deliver within a certain radius of the customer.
Right.
If the customer's local and he buys a car, we'll deliver it down to him.
And how many cars do you do restoration-wise through the shop in a year, do you think?
Mechanical-wise?
Well, if you're doing a full restoration.
Full restoration right now, we're averaging from media blast to paint in about 10-12 weeks.
That's quick.
So
That's quick.
Our guys can kind of burn through it pretty quick.
And then what about assembly on it? It's take another...
Assembly usually takes about 60 to 90 days or
Right.
longer, depending on what they have. What do we got to refurbish? What do we got to replace? Can we source it quickly or not? Parts availability is a little bit of an issue right now.
Right. So you're really looking at about a 6-month turnaround, and you could
Correct.
probably be driving your car.
Correct.
So that's wonderful.
Correct. Yep. So a little bit, we even work on off-brands. It's a 50 Ford F100 or F1 truck. It's actually a pretty cool truck. It was the customer's mom's truck out of Missouri. We've had this truck for a few months. We just got it out of the paint about 4 weeks ago. We're starting to do the final assembly on that, but it's a flathead V8 3-speed manual.
That's cool.
Which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
So we're getting ready. Hopefully we'll get that done here in the next 3-4 weeks and back to the customer. 66 Hemi Charger,
Right.
gray. So yeah, we got a little bit. We got the old school machines. We got a couple Dizzy machines. We got an old Sun analyzer back there. To
That's
do
cool.
timing and
That's cool.
whatnot. So Vince is very proficient in that, working that. So we do pretty good there.
So to reach out to you to do the restorations or even get parts, where do they find you?
RosevilleMoparts.com.
Okay.
Online there, you can do a service or parts inquiry online, or you can give us a call at the 586-859-2600 number. And you can just reach us out to that way, and we'll reach it back.
And if they want to visit you, it's Monday through Saturday?
Saturdays by appointment only, but
Okay.
it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. If you're in town, give us a call. I'll make time for you if you're going to come in and take a tour. I'm happy to have any customers come in and do that, see the facility, especially if they're willing to bring work to us. I want them to see what we do and how we do it, so they're comfortable with bringing us their car. I don't, have any judgment on the cars when they come in. We'll pretty much look and assess and fix what's needed on these cars.
Nothing's too big, nothing's too small, right?
That is correct. So we kind of listen to the customer and say, hey, this is what we see. Do you want this fixed as well, or you want just what you want fixed? So with that said, we've been able to touch quite a few customers locally and across the state, and to bring service work in and whatnot. So
Great. Well, the place looks great. We appreciate you putting all these things together and keeping the Mopar spirit alive. So
yeah, we try to. Every day is like Christmas. It's a little bit of a holiday. So it's good.
It's not a bad job to have, right?
Not a bad job. So. But yeah, it's good. Parts vendors are good to deal with right now. But we're always striving to do more. We're just trying to take care of the customer one piece at a time and keep moving forward with the customer and providing parts and services for them, regardless if it's mechanical or body work, paint work. We can blend a car, we can do partial, do fulls. It just depends on budgetary constraints and what the customer really wants to do at the end of the day.
All right. Well, thanks for the nickel tour.
Sure
and everybody check these guys out. It's a really cool place.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Nice seeing you.
After several days, I've only begun to scratch the surface of what the Mopar scene has to offer here in Detroit. If you like the journey so far, please hit the like button, and before you go to part 2, smash the subscribe to Mopar TV button. It's absolutely free and will allow us to do more videos like this one in the future.
It ain't no party like a Detroit party, 'cause a Detroit party don't